The tongue may lie, but the energy never does. That's your warning shot, my friends, because in this world, smiles lie more than silence ever will. And the scariest part, most people don't even see it coming. They get caught in the charm, lost in the compliments, and by the time they realize they were standing next to a snake in a suit, it's already bitten them, drained their peace, and disappeared before the poison showed its effects. So let me ask you, have you ever felt uneasy around someone who seemed too nice? That strange gut feeling that whispered, "This smile isn't real." Yeah, that wasn't your mind playing tricks. That was awareness trying to wake you up. Welcome to the reality behind fake smiles and hidden jealousy. Hey folks, picture this. You're in a room full of people clapping for you, friends, co-workers, family, everyone's smiling, nodding, saying all the right words. But something's off. The air feels thick. The smile from your friend doesn't quite stretch to their eyes. You hear the claps, but somehow they feel hollow, like someone's cheering for you with their hands, but cursing you with their heart. That's not your imagination. That's spiritual static. That's what happens when jealousy hides behind joy. You see, in today's world, envy doesn't show up in rags with a scowl. It shows up with a grin and a compliment. People don't stab you in the back anymore. They do it right in front of you with applause. And if you're not alert, you'll think you're loved, when really you're being studied, you're being envied, you're being quietly resented. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "The closer you are to the truth, the quieter your circle becomes." And he was right. Because the more you rise, the more you'll notice who claps from the soul and who just performs loyalty with a fake grin and hidden agenda. Let me break one of the biggest lies for you right now. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Some people only like you when you're beneath them. The moment you level up, they feel exposed, insecure, threatened. Suddenly, your glow becomes a mirror that shows them what they've refused to become. That's when the compliments come with a sting. That's when they start to disappear when you win and reappear only when you struggle. These aren't coincidences, they're signs. And Stoicism teaches us one thing above all else. Don't react emotionally. Observe and move with clarity. And just so we're clear, this isn't about being paranoid. It's about being wise. It's about learning the difference between someone who smiles to uplift you and someone who smiles to cover their envy. The real ones, they don't compete, they celebrate. The fake ones, they try to match your pace not because they want to run with you, but because they can't stand seeing you ahead. That's not love. That's fear in disguise. But here's the good news. Once you learn to read energy, once you learn to trust your gut and not just your ears, you'll protect your peace like a king guards his crown. And you won't need to fight fake people. You'll just outgrow them. That's the Stoic way. Not drama, not revenge, just awareness, self-control, and quiet exits. So stay with me, my friends. Because in this video, I'm giving you 8 powerful ways to see through fake smiles and hidden jealousy. Tools that Stoic warriors have used for centuries to move through life untouched by the poison of others. And if this message hit you already, do something bold. Write, "I choose clarity" in the comments right now. Show yourself. Show the fakes watching. And most of all, remind yourself that your energy deserves honesty. Not applause, not fake praise, but truth. Like, subscribe, and stay with me. We're just getting started. Number 1, the smile that doesn't reach their eyes. False friends are like shadows, always near you at your brightest moments, but nowhere to be seen at your darkest. And my friends, sometimes those shadows wear smiles. Not frowns, not threats. Just perfectly rehearsed grins, polite nods, and eyes that blink just a second too late to feel real. That's the first sign of a hidden agenda, when the mouth smiles but the eyes stay cold. Imagine this. You just shared something exciting, maybe a win you worked years for, a new business, a milestone, a personal breakthrough. The room responds. There's applause, there's laughter. But one face, just one, doesn't match the energy. Their smile is tight. Their congratulations sound hollow, and deep down, you feel it. Something's off. But then comes the doubt. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe that's just how they are. No, my friend, that's not paranoia. That's perception. That's your soul warning you. Look closer. Here's the scary truth. Most people don't betray you with anger. They betray you with applause. They don't come at you with insults. They come wrapped in politeness. And because the world taught you to look for enemies that scream, you never saw the ones that smiled. That's the trap. Fake smiles are like sugar-coated knives. They cut deeper because they first disarm you. You let your guard down. You lean in. You trust. And by the time you realize their energy was never pure, it's already sliced through your peace. That's why Stoic awareness is power. It teaches you to listen not just to what people say, but what they radiate. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But I'll add this, energy carries that color before the words even leave their mouth. A jealous heart, no matter how charming the exterior, always leaks something foul. The tension, the forced tone, the mechanical smile, they can't help it. Because when someone sees your growth as their defeat, even their compliments become weapons disguised as kindness. Now you might ask, why would someone pretend to support me if they secretly envy me? And that's where we break another lie. Jealousy isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's just fear. Fear that you're becoming what they never had the courage to pursue. Fear that your rise exposes their comfort zone. They want to be happy for you, but they can't. Because your light shines on their shadows. And here's where it gets tough. Most people have never been taught to deal with their own envy, so they cover it with smiles. They were raised to be polite, not honest. So they smile, they nod, they say, "Congrats," but walk away feeling smaller, not prouder. And because of that, they start to resent you in silence. Not because you wronged them, but because you reminded them of everything they've left undone. Now, I know what you're thinking. Should I call them out? Should I confront them? No. You don't need to swing at shadows. You just need to see clearly. The Stoic doesn't fight envy. They recognize it, detach from it, and keep moving. You don't need to expose fake smiles. Time and silence will do that for you. What you need to do is protect your peace and build a radar that can detect sincerity beneath the surface. So the next time someone smiles at you, don't just hear the words, feel the frequency. Do their eyes light up for you or dim down to hide something? Do they mirror your joy or suppress their discomfort behind politeness? That's the art of Stoic awareness. And once you master it, no mask can fool you again. You deserve a circle that claps because they mean it, not because they feel obligated or worse, threatened. You deserve friends who celebrate with their soul, not with their strategy. So here's your power move today. Write in the comments, "I trust my awareness." Say it out loud. Type it in. Show the world. Show the fakes. Show yourself. You're no longer fooled by painted smiles. And stay with me because what's coming next is even deeper. We're about to explore what people don't say when you succeed, and how their silence often speaks louder than applause. Number 2, subtle shifts in tone. When you speak about success, they won't always show you they're jealous, but they will always show you they're uncomfortable. That's the silent truth we're never taught to spot. And if you're not paying close attention, you'll mistake tension for tiredness, detachment for distraction, when in reality, what you're seeing is a mask slipping just a little the moment your name gets lit up in the spotlight. So, my friends, let's talk about tone. Not the words, not the claps, not even the smile, just the way they sound when you start to win. Because envy rarely walks in screaming. It whispers, it hesitates, it flatlines. You'll feel it in the drop of their voice, the dry laugh, the clipped "nice," followed by silence that feels like someone just turned off the music at your celebration. Let me paint a picture for you. You tell someone you've just landed the opportunity of a lifetime. You've been grinding. You finally caught a break. You're buzzing with excitement. You share it with them, hoping they'll match your joy. And they say, "Oh, cool, that's good for you." But their energy doesn't lift with yours. Their eyes wander. Their voice goes down, not up. And deep inside you feel it again, that same knot that says, they're not happy, they're pretending. That's not just awkwardness, that's a revelation. Because real supporters don't get quieter when you rise. They get louder, they hype you up, they reflect your energy. They don't shrink into discomfort, they rise with you. But the fake ones, they react like someone just threw cold water on them. Why? Because your success sets off a storm inside them. Your growth breaks their comfort. And instead of asking, "How can I learn from this?" they think, "Why not me?" Now here's where it gets tricky. They'll still say the right words, but the tone, it gives them away. Their mouth says, "I'm happy for you," but the tempo says, "I'm jealous of you." That delayed response, that blank pause before the smile comes, that's not celebration, that's emotional buffering. They're trying to find a safe way to pretend without choking on their envy. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But I'd say we need to listen not just to words, but to tone, energy, that space between sentences. Because jealousy lives in the gaps. It's never in the headline, it's always in the background static. You might ask, but why do they act like that? Shouldn't my friends be proud of me? In a perfect world, yes. But not everyone around you is driven by self-mastery. Most people live from a place of comparison. And when you step into your purpose, it shines a light on their procrastination. You become a mirror, and mirrors don't always make people smile. Sometimes they expose everything they've tried to hide from themselves. And this is where we have to grow up emotionally. You're not crazy for noticing the shift in their voice. You're not arrogant for sensing the tension. You're aware. That's your stoic muscle waking up. Your emotional radar learning to filter not just what's said, but what's felt. It's hard, I know, because these aren't enemies. These are people you trusted, people you laughed with, dreamed with. But growth, real growth, doesn't just build you, it reveals them. And it reveals something Stoicism has always warned us about. Most people are only good with you when you're not outgrowing them. The moment you do something they haven't, the tone changes. The air shifts. The support fades. So what do? Do you shrink back, tone yourself down, apologize for shining? Never. You rise anyway. You speak your truth anyway. You share your wins with pride, even if the room goes silent. Because your life isn't a democracy, it's a journey. And those who can't celebrate you on the way up were never really walking with you to begin with. Stay grounded. Stay alert. Don't confront them. Just collect data. Because tone never lies, my friend. It's the emotional fingerprint of the soul. And if you listen closely, you'll know exactly who's real and who's rehearsing their loyalty. Now I want you to drop this in the comments. I hear the truth. Say it loud. Say it proud. Show yourself. Let the world know your awareness is sharp, your peace is protected and your energy, it's sacred. And stay with me, because up next, we're going to expose the compliments that sting more than insults, the backhanded praise that masks the sharpest envy. You don't want to miss it. Number 3. Backhanded compliments are not harmless. Jealousy is a silent killer. It doesn't stab you in the chest. It pokes you in the heart while pretending to pat your back. And sometimes it shows up in the form of a compliment, but not the kind that fills you. No, the kind that leaves a strange aftertaste in your spirit. My friends, let's talk about backhanded compliments, the smiling assassins of emotional warfare. Have you ever shared something you were proud of and someone hit you with, "Must be nice," or, "Well, not everyone has that kind of luck," or even worse, "You're doing great for someone like you"? Yeah, that wasn't praise. That was a shot fired with a silencer on it. It wasn't meant to lift you, it was meant to shrink you without looking like an attack. Imagine someone giving you a gift wrapped in gold, but inside is a stone. That's exactly what a backhanded compliment is. Pretty on the outside, ugly on the inside. It confuses you because it walks and talks like support, but it feels like judgment. And the reason it hits so hard? Because it forces you to question yourself. Am I being too sensitive? No, you're not. You're just finally tuning in to what's real. Let me break this for you. People who are secretly envious don't always come with hate. They come with jokes, sarcasm, and fake praise. It's their way of balancing the scales in their mind. Your success makes them uncomfortable, so instead of celebrating you, they'll wrap their insecurity in a clever little sentence designed to make you laugh, while it cuts just deep enough to plant doubt. And here's the kicker. They'll act like you're the problem if you point it out. "I was just joking," or "You're reading too much into it." Sound familiar? That's not humor, that's manipulation. That's gaslighting, disguised as charm. They want to keep you doubting your instincts so they can keep throwing little jabs without getting caught. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." And nothing exposes that poverty of spirit like a backhanded compliment. Because a truly fulfilled person doesn't need to dim your light to feel better about their own. They don't need to disguise their envy as humor. They don't need to compete silently. They just clap. But people who haven't healed, they struggle. Your progress feels like a threat. Your confidence feels like a mirror they're not ready to look into. So instead of doing the work, they try to undermine yours, casually, quietly, passive-aggressively. And if you're not grounded in Stoic awareness, you'll start adjusting yourself to their discomfort. That's the real danger. Not the compliment itself, but the way it starts to make you shrink just a little. You laugh it off, but inside you start second-guessing your worth. Let's break the lie wide open. You're not too much. They're just not enough yet. And instead of rising to meet you, they try to pull you back to a place where they feel comfortable. That's not love. That's fear in costume. So what's the Stoic response? You don't retaliate. You don't explain yourself. You don't even confront every backhanded comment. You observe. You file it away. You protect your peace. Because awareness is your armor. When someone gives you a compliment with barbed wire wrapped around it, don't unwrap it. Just hand it right back. With silence. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone who can't celebrate you without conditions. Let their words reveal their insecurity. Let your stillness reveal your strength. Because real confidence doesn't need to clap back. It just keeps walking, keeps winning, keeps glowing in a world that doesn't know how to handle silent excellence. And here's your move now. Drop it in the comments. No more fake praise. Let that be your boundary, your declaration, your shield. No more pretending something is love when it's clearly loaded with resentment. No more laughing at insults just because they were said with a smile. From now on, we only accept pure energy, clear support, real applause, and stay with me, because what's coming next is where the masks start falling fast. We're going to look at who disappears when you're rising, and why that silence is louder than their applause ever was. You're about to see the truth in motion. Let's keep going. Number 4. They disappear when you're winning, reappear when you're struggling. Pay close attention to who claps when you rise and who vanishes like smoke the moment you shine. Because sometimes silence isn't peace, it's jealousy in hiding. My friends, this next truth stings a bit. The same people who showed up when you were down, broken, uncertain, will suddenly go missing when you finally start winning. Ever notice that? When you're struggling, they're right there, ready to give advice, play the savior, or just sit close so they feel better about their own stagnation. But the moment your momentum picks up, your blessings arrive, your smile returns with purpose. Poof. They fade into the background like fog in sunlight, and that's no accident. That's exposure. Why? Because your growth ruins their excuses. When you're down, they feel comfortable, safe, superior even. But the moment you rise, you become a reminder of what they've refused to change. Your success makes their comfort zone feel like a cage. And rather than deal with that discomfort, they ghost. Not out of hate, but out of quiet resentment. And it gets deeper. The moment life hits you again, when you lose that deal, face another setback, hit a bump, they magically show back up, full of concern, full of fake support. But don't be fooled. They didn't come to help. They came to feel tall again. That's not friendship. That's emotional leeching. Seneca wrote, "Misfortune is the test of friendship, but so is success. Real ones stick around when you're glowing, not just when you're low. They don't feel threatened by your elevation. They're fueled by it." So what do? You don't beg them to stay. You don't shrink to keep them comfortable. You simply notice. And you keep rising. Quietly, powerfully. Let their silence confirm what you always suspected. They were only loyal to your weakness. Now go to the comments and write, "I rise anyway." Show them, show yourself, that you're not defined by who walks away when you win. You're defined by how you walk forward, alone if you must, but never shrinking. And stay with me, because next we uncover the power of presence and how energy always tells the truth, even when the words don't. Let's keep going. Number 5. Their energy doesn't match their words. You'll forget what they said, but you'll never forget how their energy made you feel. And that, my friends, is the real truth people try to hide. Because you can dress words up in gold, tie them in bows, lace them with smiles. But energy doesn't lie. You've felt it before. Someone tells you, "I'm so proud of you," but it feels like a script. Their face is tight, their posture's closed off, their vibe heavy, like they had to force the words out, like they're clapping with their mouth while their soul is sitting with its arms crossed. That's the giveaway, because humans are wired to sense when something's off, and fake energy sticks out like a flat note in a song. It ruins the harmony. The problem is, we've been taught to ignore it, to take people at their word, to be nice. But Stoicism teaches something far more powerful. Observe reality as it is, not as it pretends to be. And sometimes the reality is this. They say the right things because they're afraid to be seen as what they really feel. Jealous, insecure, or just bitter. It's subtle. They'll smile, but it doesn't reach their eyes. They'll say, "You deserve it," but the joy never shows up in their presence. And while your ears might hear support, Your body, your intuition, your soul knows better. That disconnection between words and presence, that's not love, that's performance. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts," I'd add, "and the company you keep," because surrounding yourself with people whose words don't align with their energy will quietly drain your peace. You'll feel constantly unsure, off balance, questioning yourself when really it's their hidden discomfort rubbing against your light. So here's your power play. Stop judging people by what they say. Start watching how they move, how they show up, how their presence makes you feel, not once, but consistently. Drop this in the comments. I trust the energy. Say it, show it. Let it be your new filter. Words can lie, but energy always tells the truth. And stay with me, because next, we're exposing those who don't clap at all. The silent competitors pretending not to notice. Let's keep going. Number 6. They compete instead of celebrate. Not everyone clapping for you is cheering, some are counting. Counting your wins, your steps, your progress, not to be proud, but to keep score. That, my friends, is the unspoken competition most people never admit they're in, especially with those closest to them. You ever share good news and instead of a celebration, you get a comparison? You say, "I just got promoted," and they say, "Oh yeah? I'm about to get something even better." Or you hit a personal goal and suddenly they bring up their own story. Louder, shinier, forced. That's not coincidence, that's a hidden rivalry. And it has nothing to do with support. It has everything to do with insecurity disguised as interest. See, a real supporter doesn't feel the need to match your joy. They just feel it. They're not in a rush to tell you what they've done. They're too busy cheering you on. But someone who's secretly threatened, they can't let you have the spotlight, not even for a second, because your win feels like their loss. That's the sickness of silent envy. It doesn't shout. It competes, quietly, emotionally, strategically. And if you're not aware, you'll confuse their excitement with encouragement, when really, they're just trying to stay one emotional step ahead. They don't want to celebrate you. They want to outshine you. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." But I'll tell you this, you'll never be free if you're constantly surrounded by people who turn every moment into a scoreboard. Because the truth is, not everyone's clapping from the heart. Some are clapping through clenched teeth, praying your next step is a stumble. But don't shrink. Don't explain. Don't compete. Observe. Detach. Move forward. Let them play the game. You're not in it. You're building peace, not performance. Now head to the comments and write, "No more hidden rivalry." Let that be your stand, your standard, your silent boundary. We don't play tug of war with people who can't love without competing. And stay close, because next we dig into the deepest kind of jealousy, the one that takes your success personally. You're about to see what happens when your light becomes someone else's shadow. Keep going. Number 7. They use your wins as their wounds. Your glow will irritate people who have spent years dimming their own. And that's not your fault. It's their wound talking. My friends, this one cuts deep, because sometimes the people you thought would be inspired by your rise take it personally. Not because you wronged them, but because your success reminds them of everything they didn't do. You didn't hurt them, you just exposed them, without saying a word, without pointing fingers, just by being bold enough to go after what they only daydreamed about. And suddenly, your joy doesn't look like joy to them. It looks like a threat, a spotlight on their silence, a reminder of how long they've been sitting on their potential. Have you ever noticed someone acting distant after you finally started winning? Suddenly they're cold, passive, different. You didn't change, they did. Or rather, your elevation triggered what was already there, hidden resentment dressed up as support. That's when the fake concern shows up. Just don't get too ahead of yourself. I'm just looking out for you. No, they're not. They're looking out for their ego, because your growth feels like a personal attack on the version of themselves they've refused to improve. It's not that they don't believe in success. They just didn't believe it would be you. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Some people would rather see you struggle than see you surpass them. They were fine with you when you were trying, when you were almost there, when you were underneath them. But the second you rise above their emotional ceiling, they start shrinking into the shadows. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." And you, my friend, have begun to live. That's what triggered them. Not arrogance, not pride, your aliveness. So don't apologize, don't explain, don't dim your fire just because someone else refuses to light theirs. Walk in your purpose and let them deal with the consequences of hiding from theirs. Now write this in the comments. My wins are not a weapon. Say it loud. Own it. Your growth is a gift, not a crime. And if this message lit something inside you, press that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a world where success doesn't scare people, it inspires them. Stay with me, because what comes next will change how you trust forever.